My name is Noah Freeman, and up until about a month ago, I was part of the data analysis team working on the James Webb Space Telescope at NASA's Ames Research Center in Mountain View, California. I say was because, officially, I no longer exist. The official reports say I died in a freak climbing accident while exploring the Cascade Range, but that's a fabrication. I'm still alive, but barely. All started about 8 months ago in the dead of night. The James Webb Space Telescope had been operating at the L2 point, scanning the farthest reaches of space, sending back images that had rewritten everything we knew about the cosmos. We were uncovering more than just stars and galaxies. We were unlocking secrets that should have remained buried. I had worked with Dr. Owen Blackwood for years, brilliant, meticulous, often obsessed with the minute details. That night I was working late when Owen rushed into my office. He was visibly shaken, and there was something frantic about the way he clutched his laptop. "Noah, you need to see this," he said, voice trembling. His hands were cold, sweat dripping from his brow. I saw the raw fear in his eyes before he showed me the data. The screen, there were patterns, massive geometric structures, arranged in deliberate formations spanning across billions of light years. They were too perfect to be natural, too organized to be the product of randomness. The universe simply didn't work that way. I sat there, stunned, as Owen's voice broke through the silence. "This is ... It's not random. This is a message. It's artificial." Before I could speak, he collapsed. It was just a small stumble. His foot caught on the edge of the carpet, but it was enough. His head hit the desk with a sickening crack. I rushed to him, my heart racing. It didn't make sense. One moment, he was standing beside me, and the next, he was gone. The official report claimed it was a tragic accident, stress-induced, exacerbated by a lack of sleep. A simple fall. His family received condolences, the matter was closed, but I couldn't let it go. 2 days after Owen's funeral, I received an encrypted email from his personal account. I hesitated before opening it. It could have been a final message, or it could have been a mistake, but I had to know. The message was short, with only a set of coordinates and a brief line. "Look deeper. They're watching." Should have reported it immediately, followed protocol. But curiosity is a scientist's vice, and I couldn't help myself. I redirected one of the Webb's secondary instruments toward those coordinates, scheduling the observation during my shift when I had system access. What I saw there changed everything. The images took nearly 16 hours to process. The structures were there, exactly as Owen had predicted. Massive, ancient, impossibly advanced spanning galaxies stretching across the cosmic void. They were geometric, too perfect, too artificial to be anything from nature. These weren't just anomalies. They were something far worse. They shouldn't have been possible. The data was clear. The universe as we knew it was hiding something immense and ancient, and it was watching us. At first I thought the data was corrupted. Maybe there was a flaw in the sensor readings. But as I ran more tests and checked the calibration, the truth became undeniable. This was real. I kept the discovery to myself, downloading the data onto a secure drive before heading home. My mind was racing, but I couldn't sleep. The images from Webb's telescope played over and over in my head. I had to show someone. The next morning I went straight to Dr. Robert Jameson, my supervisor. He was a reasonable man, someone I thought I could trust. But when I showed him the data, his expression changed. He didn't look at the pictures with awe or curiosity, he looked concerned. "This is remarkable," he said, his voice carefully controlled. "But who else have you shown this to?" "No one," I replied, confused. "Only you." His gaze sharpened. "Owen was involved, wasn't he? We've been monitoring these coordinates for some time." Before I could respond, the door to his office opened. 2 men entered, security agents, not our usual team. They wore suits and earpieces. I knew immediately that something was very wrong. They told me I needed to be debriefed. I tried to speak, but before I could protest, they grabbed me. The next thing I remember, I was running down the emergency stairwell, heart pounding. I fled the facility, my mind in a blur. I didn't know where I was going, only that I had to get away from them. I ran through side exits, darting through alleys, finally making my way to my car. I could feel eyes on me, but I didn't dare look back. For days, I stayed on the move. I didn't trust anyone. I couldn't. The encrypted message from Owen kept replaying in my mind. They're watching. I knew they weren't just after the data. They were after me. I couldn't go to the authorities. Had no idea who I could trust anymore. I kept my head down, avoiding digital communication and only using cash to pay for my rooms. But no matter where I went, I felt the creeping suspicion that they were always one step behind. It had been 5 days since I started running. I found an anonymous motel on the outskirts of a small town, but just as I was beginning to think I might finally be safe, there was a knock at the door. 3 sharp raps. I froze, the sound sending a wave of dread over me. I waited, hardly breathing. After a minute of silence, I crept to the door and peered through the peephole. There was no one there, but beneath the door, I could see a white envelope. I hesitated for a moment before pulling it inside. It was unmarked, just a plain white envelope. The paper inside was a list of rules, strange, cryptic instructions that made no sense at first. But as I read them, I realized that whoever had left this for me knew exactly what was happening. The instructions included oddities. Don't attempt further communication with any NASA personnel. Move every 48 hours. Always carry a blue object to disrupt the signal. If you see unusual astronomical phenomena, do not look at them for more than 3 seconds. I wasn't sure what any of this meant, but I followed the rules, and then the stars started shifting. I knew I couldn't run forever. The connections between the images I had seen and the strange phenomena in the sky were too clear. The stars themselves were changing. They were moving in unnatural patterns. It wasn't just the stars. I was seeing thing shadows, whispers, flashes at the edge of my vision. It wasn't just the data I had uncovered that had attracted their attention. It was me. I was part of their network now. The more I resisted, the stronger the pull became. It was as if the structures themselves were calling to me. They weren't just cosmic beacons. They were alive. Were part of a vast network that spanned the entire universe, a network that had been waiting for me. I reached out to someone I thought might understand. Dr. Lucas Taylor, a former colleague who had disappeared from NASA years ago, had left behind strange warnings in his last correspondence. His sister had the answers I needed, and she gave me a way to contact him. When I finally spoke to Lucas, everything changed. He confirmed what I had feared. They weren't just an alien race observing us. They had planted us here. We were an experimental species of consciousness designed to evolve, to reach out to the stars, and then to be harvested. The network wasn't just passive anymore, it was active. And it was waiting for us to reach the point of discovery. I had one choice left: to sever the connection completely, to destroy the link between me and the network, or to embrace it. If I destroyed the connection, I might lose my mind. My memories might fade, my consciousness might shatter. But if I stayed connected, I would be nothing more than a cog in a vast cosmic machine. I had to decide quickly. The harvest was already underway. With Lucas's help, I managed to find a device that would sever the connection between my mind and the network. But using it would come at a cost. It might kill me. It might leave me a vegetable, or worse, a mindless husk. I had no choice. I activated the device. When I woke up, I was in a hospital room. My body felt heavy, like lead. My mind was cloudy, fragmented. I had succeeded in cutting myself off from the network, but the cost was higher than I could have imagined. I learned that I wasn't the only one. Others had attempted to disconnect, and they too had suffered the consequences. But the fight was far from over. Structures, those cosmic beacons, were still out there, still active, and they were still watching. The data I had collected, the raw images from the Webb telescope, proved it. The structures were not just a sign of life, they were a sign of something far more ancient. Something that had been with us all along, waiting to collect us. The experiment wasn't over. It had only just begun.